Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Nitty Gigi podcast. I am your host, Jay. I also am known as Jennifer, but my nickname is Jay. And it has been a very long time. Let's take a sip of coffee. Decaf coffee. Yeah, it has been a very long time. But we can talk about that and etc., etc. I have a lot of things to show you. So I have a new setup, obviously, and because it's a whole new location, but I have the camera situated in front of me, but I have the image of it a little bit higher. So if I start looking up, that's because I'm just checking to make sure. So sorry. And it's distracting, actually. Let's see if I can move it down a little bit down. So now, okay, perfect. So that way you're not seeing. Anyway, kinks. But let me first start with my FOs. So there's obviously been a lot of FOs since the last podcast, because the last podcast was at least almost a year ago, and I do apologize for that. And I'll explain that and etc., etc. Because I just want to move on with the knitting, because I'm so excited about the knitting. Because I believe at the time I watched the last episode just to see where it was, and I think it was at the end of my knitting mojo. It was just so much going on, and I could not knit, and I was just not focused, so there wasn't that much knitting, but I've blew up since then. So I'm just going to show you the FOs that I've done recently. And then if you want to look at all my past FOs, they are all on Instagram, jcraftygeek. And that's actually the only place you'll find them other than Ravelry, which my Ravelry handle is Knitterly Book Lady. Yeah, Knitterly Book Goddess or Knitterly Book Lady. I don't remember. I think it's Knitterly Book Goddess, but I'll have to check that out. So yeah. Let's get to FOs, okay? So, first off is my vanilla socks with the Patton's Croix. See these here. So, my usual vanilla sock, US 1 needle, and 64 stitches around, and I do magic loop. That was the left, this is the right. And I finished these last night when I'm still getting used to jet lag, so I got back, I was about to call him by his real name, it doesn't matter. The professor and I just got back from the Philippines Tuesday night, and we're still acclimating from it all. He didn't get that much sleep. He was kind of tossing and turning. I did not bother tossing and turning. I just watched podcasts all night until 4 a.m. until 11. No, sorry. Excuse me. Still jet lagged. I went to bed at 4 a.m. and didn't wake up until 11 a.m. So about 7 hours of sleep. But while I was watching TV and watching all the podcasts and getting caught up on my podcasts, I knit these. So, and I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. Let me see if I can. There you go. And if you have not tried this, you must. Absolutely must. I love these. I love this heel, especially for self-striping socks. They are a little bit, so I noticed, depending on the gauge of the yarn. So the Patton's Croix, by the way, it's knit in Patton's Croix. If you have not recognized it already, this you can find at Joann's, Michael's. So the lighting in this setup is so much better. Maybe it's the camera too. I don't know. So the professor and I had the same web camera. So when we merged households, we had double of some things. And I think this is mine or maybe his. Don't know for sure. And the number of this die lot is 1811. Should I continue? No. But it's basically what they call the blue striped rag. And I have to say this is my favorite out of the Patton's Croix. There's more. I bought all of them. And they don't repeat. So, alright. This is what I had left. So basically I used one ball and kept going until I ran out. And I actually ran out of yarn on, this is the right one. I ran out of yarn of the second one right here. So if you look, I was able to do, and this is a 5-inch cuff, fish lips kiss heel, all the way to the heel. And I did it top down. So I only needed that second ball of yarn for the toe. So I wonder if I did ankle socks, I could probably just do one. I don't know. We'll see. But again, this is my basic vanilla self-striping sock pattern sock that I do, 64 stitches, US 1 needle, and I've been using the Chowgu red lace with the red cable. I love them. I know some people don't really like them, but I actually like how the cable is when I knit, and I like the grab that it has because I was actually starting to lose stitches on my Haya sharps. Not liking that. And my hair is doing something weird. So, oh, and I forgot to show this. This is the twist. I don't know if you can see it. Let's block this light. Yeah, it's a twisted stitch, 2x2 twisted rib stitch. I like the aesthetic of this twisted rib. Don't ask me why, I just do. So, there you go. I finished these last night, and I am happy. It took me a little bit longer to make these socks. I started these 2 months ago. About 2 months ago. Most of the printed details is on Ravelry. I've been trying to keep my Ravelry up to date. Right now, it's not up to date because I haven't put up the 2 FOs that I finished. And have not, sorry, I keep looking up. And I have not, I'm going to do this. There you go. There you go. Ah, I can hack. Really, I can. That's stupid. Anyway. I need it here. Anyway. What was I saying? Why am I recording the first episode back after a year when I'm jet lagged? Because I'm silly. It's not up to date because I haven't put up the stuff that I did last night. So, the second FO is not here because the professor decided that he was going to wear the socks that I knit him for the party that he's going to. I'm happy that he did. So the professor, I decided to knit him some socks for his birthday with a cashmere blend, because so far I've been knitting him. I've knit him 2 pairs of socks since the last episode. I don't believe I ever showed you the socks that I made him. I think you've seen one of them, but you did not see the other ones that I knit him. It was just basic Patton's Croix, very wearable, throw in the washer and dryer, don't worry about it. But since he put a ring on it, it's off center, jeez. He gets cashmere. So I knit his socks out of the Toe Up Socks for Everybody. The first Toe Up sock book from Wendy Johnson. And I did out of that book the mock cable socks, which it was still cables, but it was only one stitch going one way or one stitch going the other way. It was a very nice twisted, very, very, very nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was my first project doing cabling without a cable needle. So I had a lot of fun with it. I need to do more cables now. So I knit it out of this stuff. This is Dream in Color Smushy with Cashmere, and I believe this has become discontinued. I'm not sure. The colorway is Scorched Lime, and let me see. I don't believe this is the camera that focuses, but ooh, hello. Yeah. I was trying to see if I could record with my digital camera that has a focus on it, but I tried and I got a quarter of the way in and it died. Did not have sufficient funds. This is called a Scorched Lime. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it, but this camera does not focus, so 'tis what it is. 400 yards. And I did a 5-inch cuff on his. I could have gone a little bit longer. He actually likes a much longer cuff. But I was worried, and at the time I only had one skein of yarn, and I was worried about not having enough yarn. And it turns out I had nothing to worry about. And even then, halfway through, I was on the cuff on the first sock, and I freaked out, and I bought more yarn. And turns out I now have another skein of Scorched Lime that I don't know what to do with it. Boo. So I'm just, well, not boo. Fine, I have more yarn. I'm actually not a big green person. I'm not usually attracted to greens, but the professor loves green. So, you know, I knit for him. Well, I don't knit for him, but when I knit something for him, you know, I really should go with what he likes, and he likes the green. Emerald green, specifically. So, but I'm taking a break. Told him, alright, the next project I'm going to be knitting for you is for Christmas, and it's going to be red. And he's like, that's fine. I'm like, yeah, that's right. So, but the other Scorched Lime, I figure I'll just do a basic vanilla sock, longer cuff, maybe 6-inch cuffs, and just, yeah, just vanilla. That way he has a fancy, and he has simple. Whatever. So that is what I have off the needles. Let's go on to what I have on the needles. So, because I cannot live... Oh, excuse me. Professor. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Professor Cashmere socks. Those were done on US 1 needles. And I did the larger size of the mock cable socks. All the deets. Alright. I believe I gave you all the deets. Yeah. Okay. So the first one, because I cannot be without self-straping. If I can find it. Jeez. Oh, here's the label. I haven't done this for a year. Please forgive me. Oh, and living in my Erin Lane bag. So Erin Lane was doing this bag club during Christmas time, and I did the Doctor Who one. So this is the second one in the series. I love her bags. I'm not really liking the extras that are coming with it. One didn't even have an extra, and this one had crochet, and I don't crochet, and I'm not going to be, and I'm not prejudiced about crocheting, I just don't crochet, and I'm like, okay, this is not useful for me, so, meh. I like the bags, I'm fine with that, so, alright, so, doing another vanilla sock, but this time I'm doing it toe up rather than top down, and actually, I'm finding that I prefer toe up so much better. Don't ask me why. I'm still trying to find the right bind off for the cuff area, because whenever I bind off, it flares a little. And I've tried the Jenny stretchy bind off. I've tried the Russian bind off, and I haven't found one that has not flared. Someone suggested going down one size and doing that, so maybe I'll try that. But I'm hoping it doesn't then get too not stretchy. So, okay, so toe up. I'm done with the decreases. The yarn is Cannon hand dyed, and they're self-striping. I got this at Stitches West 2014, last year. And it's one of her Midsummer Night's Dream. And it's just going to be my basic vanilla toe-up sock. 64 stitches. US 1. This is the Chai Goose, excuse me, with the cable. As I said, I don't mind the cable at all. And I'm going to be doing a Fish Lips Kiss heel because I'm in love with that heel. Can't live without it. Seriously, if I wasn't so lazy and I could measure, if I could figure out how to measure the professor's heel so I don't have to do a heel flap on him and do a Fish Lips Kiss heel on him, I would. But that requires measuring and making him sit down long enough. And I don't want to deal with that. So he gets a heel flap. I think he prefers a heel flap anyway. So here's the label. Canon Hand Dyes. And you can find her on Etsy. I believe it's the Amy Lee Show, but I believe if you search Canon Hand Dyes, you can find it. The back is, oh, excuse me, not Midsummer Night's Dream. Much Ado About Nothing. Oh my goodness, I need to relabel my project. I don't even think I have it on Ravelry. I'll have to remember that. Much Ado About Nothing. Goodness gracious, I don't know why I thought it was Midsummer Night's Dream, but Much Ado About Nothing, self-striping, and her Lewis MCN twist, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon, 395 yards. I'm reading the tag for you because you can't really see it. But the top is, so she doesn't really have full-on just names, it's quotes, and the quote is from Much Ado About Nothing. I know we shall have reveling tonight. Yeah. So, I don't know why it was Midsummer's Night's Dream. I'm going to have to relabel that. Tuck that in. Here's, oh, excuse me. Here's the skein of yarn that I've balled up. It's a party. So basically, it's a variegated yarn striped with black, and I love it. Love, love, love it. I haven't done much of it, but I love it. So, and I've figured out a way, because the one thing that I wasn't really happy about with the toe up was that the toe wasn't as pointy as I wanted it to be. It was a little too narrow. I wanted it more pointy. So I figured out a way. I figured out the math. I know, me and math. But I figured out a math to make it much pointier. And I basically reversed how I do it top down. So, and it fits perfectly. Alright. So that's the first project. That was casted on when I was in the Philippines at the end of the trip. After I finished the my Professor Bunny socks. And it's living in my airline bag. Eee! So that's done. Project. So the next one is I've casted on a sweater. Yay! I have been talking about casting on sweaters for I think a year now. I've been talking about, oh, I should do more sweaters. Oh, I should do more sweaters. Oh, I should do more sweaters. I think I did a shrug since the last time I talked to you guys. I've done 2 shrugs. Excuse me. I've done 2 shrugs that were, I like them. I just haven't found the right outfit. And it hasn't been cold enough in California. So, I haven't been able to wear them. Because one is this beautiful lace alpaca shrug that I'm absolutely loving. And I knit that for my cousin's weddings to go with the dresses. I ended up only being for one dress. The second one was just for fun. And that one was out of Blue Moon Fiber Arts medium weight. And yeah, so those were the last 2 sweaters I made. And then I've been on a sock binge. So I finally did some swatches for sweaters. And I started on a featherweight cardigan. The pattern is called the Featherweight Cardigan by Heather Fettig. And of course I'm showing to you in the middle of a row. Let's see, I'm starting on the I'm starting on the collar, starting on the increases. So you can kind of see that. Did some swatching and was happy with everything that I chose. Trying not to get it tangled. And these are US 5s, right? Yeah, US 5s. And the yarn is Madeline Tosh lace in the steamer trunk colorway. And I can't tell you the millimeters because can I read it from here? Of course not. Of course not, because it's not on there. So, yep. I started this last night when I was jet lagged and could not go to sleep. And I don't know why I'm knitting on it now, but that's how it goes. Let me show you the tag. And I am, don't worry, I am doing every other row. Let me just, it's a steamer trunk. You can kind of see that. Tosh lace, 100% superwash merino wool. And I have 2 of these, and I'm going back and forth. I am alternating skeins, so that way there's no line when I start. Ooh, here. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair a lot lately because I got I had gotten bangs a few months ago, and then I needed them shortened because they were getting in my hair, in my eyes, and then the person who did the bang cut, it's not my usual stylist, and she didn't do it right. So then I ended up doing it myself. And when you do it yourself, you know, yeah. So I see my regular stylist in August, so hopefully she'll fix it. So anyway, here's the tag again. I'm going to, what I would like to do with this is, right now, the measurements that they want you to do, is it's kind of short for the length of the body. So I have enough yardage. I have 1,900 yards, and I think I can do, and it requires only 1,400. So I think I can lengthen it a little bit because I like a longer cardigan. I found that I like longer cardigans, so I'm going to see if I can get that weighted and get that longer, see if I have enough yardage. So, and I really didn't need to do my research because I want to see if you're alternating skeins, does that mean you need extra yarn? I don't know. Tell me. Or maybe I'll do my research. So, but I don't think so. I think it's about the same. Yeah, I think it's about the same. So, yeah, that's what I'm knitting on. So next is, oh, that's right. So coming down the pipeline. Oh, which reminds me. So every time I watch Kristen from Volenvine, the Yarngasm podcast, she always says coming down the pike. And that's a very much a East Coast thing. I'm from the West Coast, as I say it in a weird accent. I'm from California, and we say coming down the pipeline. So it's just, and there actually has been a huge, not argument, but like a conversation at work, because one of the guys, actually the CFO of the company, he's from, not from the West Coast, and he calls it coming down the pike. And my manager is like, no, it's coming down the pipeline. And so it's this whole long conversation. So whenever I hear Kristen say coming down the pike, I'm like, because I'm 5. So coming down the pipeline, because I'm from the West Coast, I am planning to also cast on the Liesel by Yisilda Teague, with the with Malaviger worsted. I don't have it with me. It's actually in the living room because I didn't plan ahead. And so I plan to cast it on either tonight or tomorrow, depending on how I feel. So, because I promised my friend that I would cast it on, and this Malabrigo worsted really should be knitted on because it's been skeined up for, I think, a year now. Over a year. 2 years, I think. And it has not been knit on. And that's not very good for the yarn. It's absolutely not. And I am not very good about being good with yarn in that aspect. So I really need, and I've been frogging that yarn. I've also been frogging this yarn for like, a few months now, because I'll cast it on for one project, find I don't like that project, and frog it. Then I go and I search again, and I look for another project, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Do it up, read the pattern again, let it sit for another 2 weeks, and realize I don't like it. So I frog it again. So I'm reading the Liesel over and over, making sure that I really, really want it done. A Liesel, if you haven't seen it, and I'm not going to promise show notes. This is me, pure and simple. This podcast is being revamped a little bit, as in I'm not going to promise anything, because I'm lazy. That's who I am. So if you look on Ravelry, search for Liesel by Isolde Teague. You'll see the pattern, but it's basically this short sleeve vest type thing for worsted weight. And I think she did it in DK and also chunky. I'm not sure. She's done multiple versions. And it's just a simple lacy, and I'm going to read it over and over to make sure I want it. Make sure I really, really want to use the Malabrigo worsted for that. If I find that I don't want to do it, then I think the Malabrigo worsted is going to be rehomed to someone that wants it. And I'm not going to charge it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to give it to someone that wants it. Just as a gift, because maybe not the frogged one, not the one that has been frogged multiple times, but the other skeins of yarn that I've skeined up, because it's just, it's this light pink, frosted pink. I think the colorway is frosted pink, and I'm not digging it. I think I bought it it's deep stash. It's very deep stash, and I think that at that time when I was just buying anything that was pretty. So, not anything that could be considered something as a project. So, and I've been just trying to find ways, and if I'm not digging the yarn, and I'm not going to dig the project. So, and I really am trying to find things that I'll wear. I want to make things that I'll wear. So, I don't know, and I don't feel comfortable in worsted weight projects. I don't know. Anyways, so that's coming down the pipeline, maybe. Yeah. So next is nails. So I don't have that much for this segment, because and one of the reasons why I really stopped podcasting too was, one, a lot of things were going on in my life, which I'll talk about more, etc., etc. But also, I lost my nail mojo. Just lost it. Lost any sort of passion for it. And so I've been calling my stash, keeping the ones that I want, but calling my stash. And I had been actually having other people do my nails, because it was just so much nicer. So, it would be, to me, doing a podcast about nails and knitting would have been weird if, oh, by the way, someone else did these nails, But I've found my nail mojo a little bit more lately. I bought all these stamping plates that I don't do. I haven't used them, and I'm not gonna force myself, because that will kill the mojo even more. So, I'm just gonna naturally come, because I still haven't, when I was doing the acrylics, which I did acrylics for off and on for 6 months or so, and it damaged my nail, of course, because acrylics damage your nail. But they never looked real on my nail, and I always like the natural nail look. So I finally, in the Philippines, I just ripped them off, because that's me. I don't have patience when it comes to those sort of things. So I ripped them off, damaged my nail, and got a quick gel manicure in the Philippines, in Boracay. and was doing that. And then when I came home, I went to my normal nail salon, which I found a new one just down the street from my house. And, which they did a great job with my acrylics, but for some odd reason with the gel polish, they were rushing it. I knew exactly why it wasn't working. They were rushing it. And I think the lady who's a great nail technician when she's not rushing, I really think that even though a lot of places say walk-ins are welcome, if they start getting filled up, they're not going to be able to accommodate you. But they were accommodating me because I was one of their first clients when they opened up about a month or so ago, and I helped them a lot by bringing out the word in the community. And so they wanted to fit me in because I just walked in. But I felt bad, even though, yeah, her work wasn't as good and I wasn't very happy with it. I was also the one that interrupted her flow, because she had people that had already scheduled to come in. She had planned, they're humans too. They need to rest. So I figured it was a bad nail day. I'm not gonna fault her for that. But that day I decided, you know what? I am very specific about what I want on my nails. I'm very, very specific. I'm very picky. So I am going to do my own nails. So I got a little bit more of my nail mojo back. And I basically just did a basic nail. There's some flooding. If you can see, this is my right hand. But this is a basic gel gel polish manicure. It's gelish, never too gray. I've shown this to you guys before, long time ago. This is the left hand, excuse me. And I had asked her to do a darker gelish color that I couldn't figure out the name. It was a darker. It was closer to a black, and it was just spotty in places, and some places didn't cure. So I took out my own light, grabbed Never Too Gray, which was a close match to it, buffed out the top layer that she did, the top coat, buffed it a little bit, and then put one coat on it, cured it, and then did another top coat, cured that. And I realized what's going on is the top coat's not curing enough, and that's one of the reasons why I lost my mojo, because I couldn't seem to cure it right. And it wasn't the lamp, it was me. It was user error. So I figured out how long it is to cure the top coat, did it, and it's shiny and it's great. And I figured out, so in my, I guess you could call it spying at the nail salons, I picked up some tricks. So one thing that a lot of people do is when they polish, if something goes on the cuticle, especially with gel polish, you immediately want to clean and get it off. Well, if you can't get it off at that moment and you need to cure it, you cure it. But then you use a cuticle nipper and a nail file, and you just file down all the excess stuff, and you're fine. It stays on the nails. Sleuthing is good. So, did I show you that? Yeah. So, no more acrylics. And in my sleuthing, I found out, and I had read the review from Chickettes about the structure gel from Gelish, but it didn't click in my head. I don't know why. I just automatically assumed I'm just going to put thick nails on my nails to get strength. I could have just done this for the last 6 to 8 months, but I didn't, because I didn't know my stuff. So, and the nail salon that I was going to wanted my money, so they're not going to tell me anything otherwise. So I bought some structure gel that's coming from Amazon. So basically the structure gel is an added, it's like acrylics, but instead of it having a powder and you have to put it in this glue type solution and then you put it on the nail and then you have to shape it with a drill, you It's basically a gel polish that's like it's like the acrylic, and you just brush a little bit on, just a little bit on, and it adds strength to your nails. And when you remove it, it does not add any damage, unless you're not removing it right, obviously. But if you remove it the correct way, it does not add any damage. So that is what I'll be doing. I'm waiting for that in the mail. So, and it'll be arriving around the time when I want to do another manicure. So, I am happy about my mojo. Yay, it's back. And I am thinking of doing a stamping over this, so that way I don't get too bored with it. So yeah, I don't have anything on my toes, and I realized that a lot of people get really freaked out about toes. So I'm not going to show them, obviously, because one, there's nothing on it. But two, just out of respect of people, I'm just gonna tell you if I have a nice pedicure polish on and show you the color. But I'm not gonna show you my toes. So there you go. Next segment, books. So I think I had already changed it up a little before I left. Just basically telling you what I'm reading, and that's it. And that's basically what's going to keep going. So, I read a lot. I've actually not read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of books. The professor not really introduced me to Audible, but he kind of encouraged me to listen to more Audible books and say, you'll love it. I think you will. And I actually really do. It helps me during my work day when I'm stressing out. Yes, I stress out at work. Oh no. So, yeah, and it helps with my commute because I drive to work now. I actually don't listen to it driving though. I actually prefer music when I'm driving or listening to the news. But if I am having problems falling asleep, I turn on my book. It's great. So I've been listening to the Dresden Files. I'm actually down to the last 3 books. Love that series, and you guys really, 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 if you love James Marsters. I always mix him with James Marsden. The guy from 27 Dresses. You know him. And X-Men. It's Spike from Buffy, and he reads the Dresden Files on Audible, and so good. So good. I'm seriously addicted to the series. But I'm taking a break because I found with how my schedule is now, my book club, I prefer listening to my book club books than reading them. Go figure. So I'm right now for my book club, I'm listening to, and I'm reading my notes. I'm reading The Golem and the Genie by Helene Wecker. Not Wrecker, which I originally wrote, but Wecker. It's really good. I would consider it a fantasy. I wouldn't consider it, there is some romance in there, but it's historical fantasy, and I really enjoy it. And it's basically about a golem and a genie and their relationship together and their relationships around with the people around them. It's set in 1870s New York, so you have that historical fact in there. Historical stuff in there, fiction, words. So that's I really like it. I've been enjoying it a lot, but I took a pause from it. I took a pause from it when I was on my vacation, so I'm trying to catch up because my book club meeting is in 2 weeks. So I'm halfway through. I'm fine. The book that I'm actually reading, and again, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I actually handwrote my notes. The book that, and I've been struggling to read this, actually read this book, because the beginning is slow. I should really tell you the title of it, shouldn't I? It's Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. It's the first of 2. It's the second one, I believe, is called Bringing Up the Bodies, and it's basically the story of Henry VIII and his wives told through the eyes of Thomas Cromwell. And so the reason why I had a hard time getting into this book in the beginning was because it was boring. It was. I know you're supposed to start with the main character and you're supposed to get to know the main character. I don't care about the main character. I care about Henry VIII and his wives and his many, many wives. So now it's getting to a really good part. I'm in 30%. I'm reading it on my Kindle. And I'm 30% in and it's getting good. So, because I brought it and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I can handle it in the Philippines. If I can't even open it up in the Philippines, then we're done. But no, I got sucked into it while I was lying on the beach and I'm like, oh man. So it is getting really good. So but it's definitely a big long read. So it may be still on my reading list for the next few weeks. So we'll see. Because of my sleeping schedule being wonky, I haven't been able to really sit down and read before going to bed because that's what I've been doing. Has been reading before going to bed. While the professor listens to his books, I read my books. So, but this past few days has been wonky because of the jet lag. So, bum. Next, so that's what's going on in books. Etc., etc., etc. Now we're getting to the part of etc., etc., where it's blather, it's jibber jabber, it's all the podcast version of if you don't want to hear it, I'll see you later. I hope you enjoyed this coming back. And if not, I don't care. This is for me, not for you. That's the honest truth of it. I'm doing it for me. I do it. That's why I stopped for a little bit because I wasn't enjoying it, and that's why I'm back because I enjoy it. So, etc. I'm back. There's a lot that has gone on since the last episode, eh? Well, I got engaged to the professor. He proposed to me Thanksgiving Day 2014. This is not the original wedding. This is not the original engagement ring. It was actually a much simpler, more Celtic ring that actually he got. I already knew that he got during the Dickens Fair in November when we went. And we'd been talking about getting married since way before he proposed. Actually, maybe a few months before our first year anniversary, which was in October of 2014. So yeah, we're actually not that close, but we're coming up to our second year together. And we had been talking about it because the one thing, and I keep telling people this, is I'm not going to live with someone if I'm not going to marry them. That's just how I am. That's not in any way, shape, or form criticism of any other people's life. This is me. And for me, I knew that I could not live with someone unless I knew I was going to marry them. So when the professor moved in with me, I knew that he was the one for me. But we wanted, to get to know each other out, while living together. And, we had a lot of fights. And obviously, this does not look at all like where I was living before, right? Maybe? It actually looks the same. But actually, we are not in the same location. So, during the time between the last episode and now, the professor moved in. The professor and I realized that my one-bedroom apartment was not big enough for the both of us because he and I like to keep things. I yarded nail polish. A lot of books. I had a good amount of books, but I had pared down in order to live in the one-bedroom apartment. He has a harder time letting go of things. I like to call him my little hoarder. So, of course, we've had arguments about this. It's okay. So we ended up realizing this 1-bedroom apartment was not big enough, but we could not really afford to move. It wasn't really in our price range, so we were going to save up for another year, and I'm sorry very much for that. I we realized that we didn't really have, it wasn't in our budget, so we were gonna budget and wait and start looking around. Well, it's a good thing we didn't do that. So what ended up happening was in June of last year, 2014, my grandmother from my mom's side passed away. If you remember, my grandma from my dad's side had passed away early of 2013. And then my grandma from my mom's side, my grandma, who lived in the Philippines, she passed away June of 2014. And so, you know, she was 86. So, and she lived a long life, but her health was degrading, and she finally, not finally, but she passed away. And my mom and my Auntie Sylvia and all my relatives, they, of course, got an inheritance, and there was a lot of money shuffling. And the one thing is, my grandma, I call her Grandma Logan. My Grandma Logan and I spent a lot of time together. I spent a lot of time with both of my grandmas, actually. And when my grandma would visit from the Philippines, I would take her all over the place. I would take her to places that she needed, because she would shop. She would shop a lot in the States. And she would get all these not fun, but she would get these necessary stuff that she could get cheaper here than in the Philippines, or just, nicer quality stuff. So I would take her shopping a lot, or help her with, if she wanted to do laundry, or if she wanted to help out at the house, that sort of thing, while my parents were at work. So I spent a lot of time with my grandma and not really taking care of her. She was a self-sufficient woman. But just driving her everywhere and just, spending time with her. And my mom really knew that. And I was actually, I was sad, not as sad as my other grandma dying, passing away, but I was still very sad, and I still miss her. I still miss both of them, to be honest. But my mom recognized that, so there was actually a small portion that she put aside, the so-called inheritance, and said, your grandmother gave you a present in order for you to move. Because my mom saw the apartment, because she saw all this stuff, and she's like, you guys can't live in this. Because things were just crowded on the walls. It was just so crowded. I mean, it looks crowded now, because it's been in September it'll be a year, and we still haven't figured out our library, because he has too many books. So, we both have too many books, to be honest. So, but it's more organized, than how it was in the apartment. We have more space, and Teddy has way more space too, and she's much happier. And Teddy, my cat, by the way, which she was here. She's just so much happier, because the one thing about the apartments were there were a lot of strays, and she was peeing on our bath mat. She was just so stressed. So it was a good idea to move. So we ended up, there was one possibility of moving to Walnut Creek. If you know this, so I live in the San Francisco Bay Area of California, so Northern California. I was living in Castro Valley, which is this little tiny area. It's not a town in any shape or form. It's an unincorporated area, near Oakland. They're about 15-20 minutes away from Oakland. It's not that close to Oakland, but close enough. But if I say Hayward or anywhere there, you guys wouldn't know. So I was living there, and then I work in Walnut Creek, which is over further inward in what we call the Tri-Valley area. closer inward, further away from the ocean, and we had a possibility in Walnut Creek, but it fell through. That was a very stressful time. But we ended up living in this beautiful house in Livermore, California, which is also considered Tri-Valley area. It's still considered the Bay Area, but we're not near the Bay at all. Livermore is basically a farm community, but it has boomed a lot since actually the 1990s. I mean, my parents actually used to live here, and it was all farms. But now, you know, it was only the lab and cows and wineries, and that was it. But now it's boom. The downtown is gorgeous. There's a lot of places to eat. There's a lot of things to do other than wine tasting. But I love the area for the people, and obviously for I'm not a city girl. This is a little bit more country suburban, and I like it. I like it a lot. Peter, excuse me, the professor, you know his real name now. It doesn't matter. He likes suburbia. He likes to be closer to you know, grocery stores. I prefer to be further out. So this is a good compromise. And then this is actually, it's still a good commute for him to go to his work at San Jose, because he's obviously a professor at San Jose State. But they're both even mileage between my job and his job, so that's why we chose this area. And this was the only house available that was in our budget. But no, Teddy's very happy. We're very happy. So yeah, that's that. So now we are planning, and I'm getting to 51 minutes, so I know I need to cap it. Now we are planning a wedding. So these are save the dates. Isn't that cute? So we're getting married December 19, 2015 in Yosemite. These were our engagement photos. I was so happy with this. And look. Oh yeah, Superman! This is actually my favorite picture. So it's gonna be in winter. It's a winter theme. I've always wanted to get married in Yosemite. I have been wanting to get married in Yosemite since I was in high school. I had actually planned out my wedding to the T in high school. And most of it has stayed true with some, like, I wanted to get married outside of the Ahwahnee and have the reception in the Ahwahnee. That's not happening. We're doing it outside of the valley at Tenaya Lodge. Don't show up. You're not invited. Love you guys. No, sorry. Back up. It's actually a very, very small wedding. When I was planning it in my head, even though I didn't have anyone. Sorry, I just got a text and it's like, I thought I wanted a big wedding, but now with the prices going through heads and going through and looking, I realized I don't want a big wedding. So it's the wedding itself and the dinner afterwards. It's not a reception. I keep telling people this. It's not the reception. It's just, thank you for coming. Here's food, basically. It's just going to be a very small wedding, very quick, and then there's just going to be a nice dinner afterwards. And it's about 30 people. That's it. That's all I want. It's only going to be family and very close friends. And the guest list, let me say, was stressful beyond belief. Just stressful beyond belief. Just trying to say, hey, we can't have these many people here. No, we can't have this person here. Why not? Just yeah. So, but we finally got that down to a T. So we have it down. And now I got my dress. I got my shoes. I just got my veil. So, and my dress is so gorgeous. I'm so happy, but it needs to be fixed. Because other than the shoes, both my wedding dress and my veil is from Etsy. My wedding is sponsored by Etsy. But, so my dress was actually custom made. It was basically a dress that was a form, and then they would make it to size to you. Well, either I mismeasured my shoulders, or they miscut the fabric. It's too tight. You can't lose weight there, and the zipper broke. And I should have made it a corset backing. I really should have made it a corset backing, but I didn't. I thought a zipper would be easier. So yeah. So now I have to get it fixed. And we're converting it into a corset backing. And it looks like it's gonna be with everything else. I'm trying to decide if I want bustles or not. I really don't think I do. It doesn't matter. I don't care. So maybe I'll cut that out. But with the steaming and the corset backing and trying to find the fabric to match the backing and all that stupid stuff, it's close to $500. And it's like, might as well have bought it at a David's Bridal or bridal boutique, you know. So I'm pricing it out. So I'm working on that. And the professor, now that he's out on summer vacation, he is going to help me with other stuff, like planning the tasting. So yeah. So that's that. That's what's going on. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. What else has been going on? The Philippines. Okay, so speaking of my grandmother passing away, so a Philippine, I don't know if it's an Asian tradition or a Filipino tradition, but when the first year death anniversary comes up, you do a huge mass prayer service and a celebration. It's to end the mourning and to start the celebrating of their life. And so my mom and Auntie Sylvia were planning that and figured, you know what, we should really come go back to the Philippines. And they really wanted their kids to come too as well. So after much finagling and a lot of people working out their schedules, all of us, my cousins, my sister and her husband, and me and my little family, were able to all go to the Philippines. We left June 5th and we got back June 16th. So a few days ago. And it was a lot of fun. And so it wasn't just a celebration, though. The other thing was my mom and Auntie Sylvia really, really, really wanted to share another piece of the Philippines, which is Boracay, which I'd been to the Philippines and Boracay in 2007, and just by myself. I was the only kid. It was to celebrate my sorry, my friend is bugging me. Hold on. Sorry. I don't know how to pause it. You know what? She's just gonna have to wait. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So it was in 2007, I went to the Philippines just by myself to celebrate my grandmother's 80th birthday. Well, we were all together for my grandmother's death anniversary. So, it was a lot of fun, and so we all went to Boracay after the celebration, and I think the professor had a lot of fun. I know the family did. I had a lot of fun. It was great, and my mom gave us a peso allowance so that we could go on our own, because we're all adults now. You know, restrictions, of course, because, you know, being in the Philippines and whatnot, but it was a lot of fun. But now I'm jet lagged. So jet lagged. And I went back to work Thursday. I didn't go back to work on Wednesday because I knew that I was needing that one day. But Tuesday and Thursday I got caught up on work, and I'm like, now I'm gonna collapse. So that was a lot of fun. Speaking of work, gosh, I should have started with that too. So the last episode I was kind of tithering about if I was gonna keep my job, that temporary job. I did keep it. I've been there for a year now. I've been there for a year. They decided to keep me on permanently, like 2 weeks after I started. Gosh, my friend keeps texting me. And so I stayed there for a year, have been learning a lot of stuff, got my insurance selling license. And I'm hoping to get my credentials soon, but I definitely need a lot more training. So I definitely need to just start taking advantage of their training and whatnot. So I'm still a benefits HR admin over in Walnut Creek, and it is very busy, very stressful, but I like it. I'm a lot more busy than I was before in my previous job. And I like that. I like being busy. So that's nice. And there's some changes going on at work right now. So I'm hoping these changes will be good for me too. If not, I don't care. I realize that I'm not. I told the professor this. I'm not ambitious about jobs anymore. After my year and a half long journey trying to find a librarian job and just trying to actually have a career, I realize I'm not the type of person to be a career person, if that makes sense. I'm a person that just wants to go to work 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 9, 8:30 to 9, 8:30 to 9, 8:30 to 5, get the job done, go home, be done. I don't want to worry about work when I don't want to have to worry about work during the weekend. I don't want to have a laptop. I have a laptop that sometimes I work from home now and then, but I'd rather enjoy life. So, yeah. I mean, seriously, if we could, I wouldn't work at all. I'd be a stay-at-home wife. But that's not going to happen. I'd get bored easily anyway. So if I could, I would work part-time. Just to accommodate my health and whatnot. So, yeah. My health is okay, by the way. So that's actually my next thing. I wrote down accountability of workout. So my health, you probably can tell I've gained some weight. So the thing is that I used to walk a lot when I was working in the city. Because I would walk from my apartment. Sorry, I'm in a swivel chair, so I'm like doing this, so I need to stop. When I used to work in the city, I would walk. I would walk from my apartment to the BART station to work to BART station to home. I used to walk a lot. Well, I lost that when, I started working in Walnut Creek, which is not BART. It's BART accessible, but it's not real. The trains, they don't do it right from Cassia Valley. Even from Cassia Valley to Walnut Creek, it just was silly. And then we moved to Livermore, which is even more not public transportation accessible. So I've been sitting in my car more, which is more stressful, by the way. So I lost my exercise. So I had joined a gym. I quit the gym. I couldn't get to the gym because here was the thing is the only time I could go was after work. Well, most of the time I work past 5 because even though I go in at I think I go in at 8:30. It depends on traffic and whatnot. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. My friend is bugging me. So I need to pause this and get back to you. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully I can splice this in at the end. I'm using a different computer, so, yeah, sorry about that. My friend is planning my bachelorette party, and, she had some questions, and it looked like it was more of a can't wait. So, because I was getting constant texts and Facebook messages, I'm like, ah! Okay, so, yeah. Got that done. Got this situated. It's done. So yeah. Okay. I believe I was talking about accountability of workouts. So tried going to the gym, was not working because I, the only time I could go was at the end of work, and sometimes I'd stay really late, especially during open enrollment. Sometimes I was leaving at 6 o'clock at night, 6:30. So by the time I get home, and, I had promised Peter that I would cook dinner. Excuse me. He doesn't care. I promised the professor that I'd cook him dinner, and he would get home and there would be no dinner because I had worked out. It was too stressful for me. I realized that it was more stress than actually worth it. So stopped going, quit the gym, had to pay a fee, all that etc. stuff. So, yeah. So I downloaded an app called Breeze. My friend told me about it. It keeps a count of your steps. So, and if you don't reach your goal, I call it yelling, but it's basically encouragement. It tells you, oh, hey, you didn't make your goal. I really believe in you. You can do it this time. Or you're fabulous. You've been hitting your goal 3 days in a row. So I really like it. It keeps me accountable. So, sorry, I'm looking for Teddy. I haven't heard her in a while. So, never trust silence. So, yeah. But I've been starting to walk every day, during lunch at work for an hour, 30 minutes. So, keeping that up, just trying to be more active. Yoga has gone to the wayside. I'm really trying to get myself back into that. So I'm trying to keep myself accountable. I think if I really focus and really just not force myself, but really just consider just doing yoga, I think that will help. And I've changed my diet. So the one thing is, I found out I'm considered diabetic because my AC1 is very high, 6.9 when they tested. And my blood sugar was like 134, if you know those stats. So my doctor was hesitant about putting me on drugs and starting to test me. She wanted me to take a class, and that's when I knew I needed to change doctors. Because if you look at my history, my mom has diabetes, all of my aunts and uncles have diabetes, my grandma had diabetes, my grandpa had diabetes. It's really big in the family. So the minute that you become, and if you look at my medical history, I have PCOS, which is an insulin resistant type thing. I have fibromyalgia, which does not help with the exercise. I'm not active. So yes, and my body will betray me. And so my body has betrayed me, and I eat all right, but not as good as I should. Because my body reacts to my body prefers a lot less carbs and a lot more vegetables and protein. But I had been eating a little bit heavier carbs than I should, of course, because all people's eating habits are different because their bodies are different. And this is what I've been explaining to a coworker of mine, and she's like, no, you must eat this way. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. Anyway, I told my doctor, you know what, you need to put me on the medication. We need to be proactive. I'm not going to have kidney failure because you did not want me to do it right. Because she just wanted me to take diabetes education classes. I'm like, how is that going to help me? is going to tell me the exact same thing that I already know, which is I need to eat less carbs, I need to eat more vegetables and proteins, and I need to do it now. How is that going to help me? Just put me on a medication, put me on the lowest dose possible, I'll manage it, I'll test my blood, I will do it. And she's like, fine, all right. And I knew she wasn't the right doctor. It took her 3 days to talk about my blood results. It's like 3 days to tell me, oh, well, I think you're diabetic, but I really don't want to put you. It's like, no. History. Look at the history. Look at all the history. Gotta be proactive. So, I'm going to use this, etc., as an accountability. So, you know, detailing my steps, seeing how active I'm at, walking more, just making sure that I'm holding myself accountable. Now, I walked a lot in the Philippines. And the only reason why I'm being rude and opening up my phone is because I want to show how many, wrong one. Holding up my Breeze. So this is Breeze. I've only walked 372 steps today. But yesterday I made my goal. So I walked 8,063 steps. So that's pretty awesome. And I walked, the longest activity was 2,407 steps. I wonder if I could do a week. Yesterday so 6/11, which is when I was in the Philippines, I walked 13,940 steps. I was active in the Philippines. It was great. I walked everywhere. So, yeah, it's not going to tell me. Anyway, so I really want to be held accountable and really consider, really, I didn't make my goal. Okay, that's weird. Okay, anyway. So I really want to hold myself accountable, and so I want to use this section as etc. bladder what's going on, but also hold myself accountable and say, okay, I didn't do as much exercise today, I gotta do it, or I did this many days with yoga and I walked this many steps. So that is what I want to do. And this is my way of shaping myself up and really holding myself accountable. And I've been eating less sweets. The sweets I have is sugar-free, like Peter made sugar-free pudding, because I crave chocolate. I love chocolate. I can't get rid of chocolate. We also have sugar-free ice cream that we do. So, yeah. I mean, I'm trying really hard. I really am. And being diabetic, I knew it was going to happen because, again, history. But I could have done a little bit more, so I was a little shameful. But now I'm more of, okay, well, it was doomed. I'm ready. So, yeah, that is about it. I'm running out of steam. So, thank you so much for joining me. Scheduling. So I think I'm going to be doing this every other week, so that way there's a little bit more material. So I'm not going to, or I'm trying to decide if I want to do it every other week or a month. Once a month, depending. I'm going to try the every other week and see how it goes. And if that doesn't work with my lazy schedule, then I'll do a month. But I really miss podcasting. And, honestly, at this point, I really don't care if anyone is watching or not. It's just me. Just, again, holding myself accountable of my knitting, of my nails, and everything else that's going on in my life. So, all right, you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you have a great knitting day. Bye.